I almost didn't show up that night. If I'm being honest, I was already halfway to texting my friends that I had something urgent come up, that I couldn't make it, that blind dates weren't my thing, that this whole setup was ridiculous. But the truth was simpler. I was tired of being alone. My name is Daniel Carter. I was 29 at the time, working as a fitness coach at a small private studio downtown. Most of my life revolved around early mornings, protein shakes, client transformations, and pretending I didn't notice how everyone around me seemed to be moving forward, engaged, married, having kids. And me? I had a solid body, a stable income, and a phone full of contacts I never called after 9 p.m. So when my friends insisted they had the perfect girl for me, I rolled my eyes. But I agreed. Her name was Sophie. She's not like the other, my friend Mark had said. Just trust us. That phrase alone should have been a warning. The coffee shop was small and warm, tucked near the lake. The kind of place where couples sit too close together and talk in quiet voices. I got there early. Bad move. Because waiting is worse than showing up late. Waiting lets your brain invent disasters. What if she didn't show? What if she did, and she looked disappointed? What if this was a joke? I was stirring my coffee for the fifth time when the door opened, and then I forgot every sarcastic thought I had prepared. She walked in wearing a light blue dress. Simple, elegant, not flashy. Her dark hair fell loosely over her shoulders, and she looked around like she wasn't sure she belonged there. Our eyes met, and something shifted. Not fireworks, not dramatic music, just recognition. She smiled politely and walked over. "Daniel?" she asked. Her voice was soft but steady. "That's me," I said, standing too quickly and nearly knocking over my chair. "Great start." "Sophie," she said, offering her hand. Her hand was warm, and for some reason that detail stuck with me. We sat down. The first 5 minutes were awkward, like all first meetings are. Safe questions, work, hobbies, mutual friends. But then something changed. She laughed at one of my dumb jokes. Not a polite laugh, a real one, and I felt it in my chest. She told me she worked in marketing for a local design company, that she loved hiking, that she hated small talk but was trying to be better at it. "Why did you say yes to this?" I asked her. She hesitated. "My friend said I needed to stop hiding," she replied. "Hiding from what?" She looked out the window for a second before answering. "From life." That answer lingered between us. I wanted to ask more, but something in her expression told me not yet. Instead, we talked for 2 hours. 2 hours that felt like 30 minutes. When she stood up to leave, I panicked slightly. "So, can I see you again?" I asked, trying to sound casual and failing. She looked at me carefully, like she was measuring something invisible. "Yes," she said finally, and that yes felt heavier than it should have. I walked home that night replaying everything. Her smile, her eyes, the way she seemed both present and guarded. There was something about Sophie that didn't fully relax, something careful. But I told myself I was overthinking it, because for the first time in a long time, I was excited. I had no idea that the real reason she agreed to that date had nothing to do with romance, and everything to do with a secret I wasn't supposed to discover. I didn't expect to think about her all week, but I did. Every morning between clients, I checked my phone. Not obsessively, at least that's what I told myself, but enough to notice when she hadn't texted yet. Then on Wednesday evening, my phone buzzed. "Sophie, are you free Saturday? You mentioned hiking." I smiled like an idiot in the middle of the grocery store. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. We met early just after sunrise. The trail by the North Ridge wasn't too crowded that time of day. The air was cool, the sky soft and pale, the kind of morning that makes everything feel possible. She wore leggings and a simple hoodie, no makeup, hair in a low ponytail. She looked even more beautiful. But it wasn't just that. She looked lighter, like being outside let her breathe. We walked side by side at first, talking about small things. Music, travel dreams, the worst dates we'd both survived. But halfway up the trail, she grew quieter. Not uncomfortable quiet, thoughtful quiet. You ever feel like you're starting over? She asked suddenly. All the time, I replied. Isn't that just adulthood? She gave a small smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. I mean, really starting over, she said. Like rebuilding. I glanced at her. From what? She adjusted the strap on her backpack. Bad choices, she answered. That was the first crack. Not big, not dramatic, just enough to make me curious. We reached the overlook at the top. The lake stretched below us, silver in the early light. It was quiet up there, peaceful. She stood near the edge, arms folded, staring out at the water. I almost didn't come on that date, she said. Me too, I laughed. She didn't laugh. I almost didn't come because I wasn't sure it was fair. Fair to who? To you. That made my stomach tighten slightly. What does that mean? She turned toward me then. Her expression wasn't playful. It was careful. Daniel, what are you looking for right now? She asked. The question felt bigger than the moment. I don't know, I said honestly. Something real. I guess I'm tired of temporary. She studied my face like she was trying to memorize it. And if real gets complicated? She asked. Complicated how? She hesitated again. There it was, that wall. I don't want to waste your time, she said instead. You're not. You don't know that. I stepped a little closer. Then tell me. For a second I thought she would. Her lips parted slightly, but then her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, and whatever she saw, it changed her. Her shoulders stiffened. Her jaw tightened. You okay? I asked. Yeah, she said quickly, locking the phone. Work. But it wasn't work, I could tell. The rest of the hike felt different. Not bad, just shifted. She laughed when she was supposed to. She asked me questions, but her mind was somewhere else. When we got back to the parking lot, she didn't hug me right away like she had after the coffee date. Instead, she stood there like she was debating something internally. Daniel, she said softly, if you find out something about me later, something you don't like, I need you to know I didn't mean to hurt you. The words landed heavy. What are you talking about? I asked. She shook her head. Nothing. Forget it. Then she kissed me, quick, unexpected, and got into her car. I stood there long after she drove away. That night, I replayed her words over and over. If you find out something about me later, find out what? The next week was good, almost too good. We went out twice, dinner once, a movie at my place another night. She met my dog, Max. She laughed more, relaxed more. And sometimes when she forgot herself, she looked at me like she really wanted to trust me. But every time her phone buzzed, she flinched. Every time she stepped away to answer a call, she spoke in hushed tones. I tried not to be paranoid. Everyone has a past. Everyone has baggage. But one night, while she was in the shower at my apartment, her phone lit up on the counter. I wasn't trying to snoop. I swear I wasn't. But the screen lit up bright enough that I couldn't ignore it. One message. From a contact saved simply as unknown. The preview read, "Did you tell him yet?" My heart stopped. I didn't touch the phone, but I didn't need to, because whatever Sophie was hiding, it wasn't small. And for the first time since that coffee shop, I felt something colder than excitement. Doubt. I didn't confront her that night. I told myself it was because I respected her privacy. But the truth? I was afraid of the answer. When she came out of the shower wrapped in one of my towels, smiling softly like nothing in the world was wrong, I felt split in two. One part of me wanted to pull her close and forget everything. The other part couldn't stop seeing those words. "Did you tell him yet?" Tell me what? She noticed something. "You're quiet," she said. "Just tired," I replied. She studied me for a second, like she didn't quite believe it, but she didn't push. That night she fell asleep with her head in my chest. I barely slept at all. The next few days were torture. Every smile from her felt slightly fragile. Every laugh carried an echo. And then it happened. The truth didn't come from her. It came from Mark. We were at the gym after hours. He was spotting me during a heavy set when he said casually, "So, things good with Sophie?" "Yeah," I answered. "Why?" He hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. "Mark," I said, sitting up. "Why?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "She didn't want me to tell you." My chest went cold. "Tell me what?" He exhaled slowly. "Daniel, the date wasn't random." I stared at him. "What do you mean?" "She asked about you." The words didn't register at first. "She what?" "She reached out to Jenna, asked about you, your schedule, where you hang out. She knew you'd say yes if it came from us." My ears were ringing. "She planned it?" I asked. "Kind of." "Why?" Mark looked genuinely uncomfortable now. "Because she knew who you were." That didn't make sense. "I've never met her before." "You have," he said quietly. And then it hit me. 3 years ago, a night I didn't talk about, a relationship I buried. My stomach dropped. "Emily?" I whispered. Mark nodded once. Emily was my ex. The only woman I had ever truly loved before Sophie. The woman who left me without warning. The woman I found out later was pregnant. And the woman who never told me. The baby wasn't mine. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that she disappeared. And I never got closure. "Sophie is her cousin," Mark said carefully. The air left my lungs. "What?" "She moved back to town a few months ago. Found out about you and Emily. About how it ended. She wanted to know what kind of man you were." I felt like I'd been punched. "She set me up to investigate me?" I asked. "She said she wanted to see for herself." "For herself what?" "If you were really as good as people said." Something inside me cracked. All those deep conversations, all those careful questions, starting over, rebuilding, bad choices. It wasn't random. It was targeted. "She thinks I hurt Emily," I said slowly. "She thinks you didn't fight hard enough," Mark replied. That hurt more than it should have. I drove home that night in silence. And when Sophie called, I didn't answer. Because now I wasn't just confused. I felt used. She showed up at my apartment the next evening. No text, no warning, just a knock. I opened the door, and there she was. No makeup, red eyes, nervous. "You know," she said. Not a question, a statement. "Yeah," I answered. She stepped inside without waiting. "I was going to tell you." "When?" I asked. She flinched. "I didn't expect to feel like this." "Feel like what?" I demanded. "Guilty? Falling for you." The words hit hard. I didn't want them to matter, but they did. "Why, Sophie?" I asked quietly. Why not just talk to me? Because Emily never got answers, she said, her voice breaking. She was devastated when you pulled away. I didn't pull away, I snapped. She left me. She wouldn't explain anything. She was scared, Sophie shot back. She thought you didn't want a future. She thought you weren't ready. I asked her to move in, I said, stunned. I was ready. Silence. The room felt smaller. She never told you that, Sophie whispered. No. The pieces were shifting. 3 years of anger. 3 years of believing I wasn't enough. All built on miscommunication. She regretted it, Sophie said softly. Not telling you. Not fighting. My throat tightened. She's married now, Sophie continued. She has a baby. She moved on. But she always said you were the one thing she never understood. And so you decided to test me? I asked. I wanted to see if you were the villain or just human. And what did you decide? Tears slipped down her face. That you're human. I turned away because I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't plan to fall for you, she whispered. I swear. The first date was supposed to be research. I let out a bitter laugh. Research? But then you were kind and honest, and you talked about wanting something real. Her voice broke completely, and I realized I was the one lying. The room was heavy with truth. You should have told me, I said. I know. You let me believe it was fate. I wanted it to be. It was the worst part, because somewhere along the way, it had become real. Starting over sounds romantic when you say it out loud. It isn't. It's awkward, fragile, full of pauses. After that conversation at the lake, Sophie and I didn't magically become stronger. We became careful. Careful with words. Careful with silence. Careful with hope. For the first few weeks, everything felt like we were walking on thin ice. If she didn't reply to a message quickly, I noticed. If I seemed distant for a few hours, she noticed. We were both waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that's when I realized something uncomfortable. The problem wasn't just how this started. The problem was that we both came into it already wounded. One evening, she was at my apartment again. Max was asleep near the couch. The TV was on, but neither of us was really watching. You don't trust me, she said suddenly. It wasn't accusing. It was tired. I muted the TV. I'm trying, I answered. That's not the same thing. I leaned back against the couch. What do you want me to say? I want you to stop looking at me like I'm about to disappear. The words hit hard, because she was right. I was bracing myself. Even when she kissed me, part of me was preparing for her to walk away. I lost someone without understanding why, I said quietly. You came into my life with a hidden reason. Forgive me for not relaxing overnight. Her eyes softened. I know, she said, but I can't keep paying for a story that ended before I got here. That was fair. Pain doesn't transfer ownership. We sat in silence. Then she said something I didn't expect. There's more. My stomach tightened. More what? More to why I came. I stared at her. I thought we were done with revelations. She gave a weak half smile. I wasn't just curious about you because of Emily. The room felt heavier. Then why? She took a deep breath. Because I was about to make the same mistake she did. That stopped me. What do you mean? I was engaged, she said. The word echoed. Engaged. I broke it off 2 months before the blind date. I didn't know that. You never told me. I wasn't ready to. Why did you break it off? She looked down at her hands. Because I didn't love him the way he deserved. And I kept telling myself love grows later. That stability is enough." Her voice trembled slightly. "I was about to marry someone safe, while wondering if something bigger existed. The weight of that settled between us." "And you thought I was that bigger thing?" I asked. "No," she said honestly. "I thought you were a cautionary tale." That stung. "I thought you were proof that people mess up love and regret it forever." I swallowed. "And now?" "Now I think we're both terrified of choosing wrong." That felt true in a way I couldn't deny. She didn't come into my life just to judge me. She came because she was standing at a crossroads, and I had been one of the warning signs. "I didn't fall for you because of Emily," she continued. "I fell for you because when you talk about commitment, your eyes don't flinch." I didn't know what to say to that. For the first time, I understood something deeper. She hadn't been testing me. She'd been testing herself. "Are you still afraid?" I asked. "Yes," she whispered. "Every day." "Of what?" "Of choosing someone who doesn't choose me back." That wasn't about her ex. That wasn't about Emily. That was about us. I reached for her hand slowly this time. "I'm here," I said. She looked at me carefully. "Are you?" The question wasn't dramatic. It was quiet and dangerous, because being physically present isn't the same as being emotionally available. "I don't want to punish you for how we started," I said, "but I also don't want to ignore it." "Then don't," she replied. "Just don't let it define us." That night, something shifted again. Not fireworks, not grand declarations, just honesty, raw and uncomfortable and necessary. But life doesn't test you when you're ready. It tests you when you think things are finally stabilizing, and ours came sooner than expected. It happened on a Thursday, ordinary day, busy schedule, nothing dramatic, until my phone buzzed during a session. Emily. I hadn't seen her name on my screen in 3 years. For a second, I thought I imagined it. I didn't answer. I couldn't. But she left a voicemail. I listened to it in my car afterward. Her voice sounded older, softer. "Daniel, I don't want to reopen anything. I heard from Sophie that you two are serious. I needed to say something I should have said a long time ago. I'm sorry." That was it. No long speech, no explanation. Just sorry. I sat there staring at the dashboard. 3 years of unresolved anger, reduced to one word, and suddenly I didn't know what to feel. That night I told Sophie. She didn't react the way I expected. She didn't get jealous. She didn't get defensive. She just watched my face. "How do you feel?" she asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "Do you want to call her back?" I shook my head slowly. "No." "Why?" "Because closure doesn't come from the person who hurt you. It comes from deciding you're done bleeding." Her eyes filled slightly. "You're not in love with her anymore," she said. It wasn't a question. "No," I answered. And for the first time, I realized it was true. What I loved was the version of myself I was back then. Hopeful, naive, certain. But that version didn't exist anymore. "I don't want the past," I said quietly. "I want what's in front of me." Sophie inhaled slowly. "That scares me." "Why?" "Because what's in front of you is complicated, imperfect." "Me." I stepped closer. "You think I'm simple?" She gave a weak smile. "I think you pretend to be." She wasn't wrong. Being the stable guy was easier than admitting I was scared too. "Are you staying because it feels safe?" I asked her carefully. "Or because it feels right?" The question hung heavy. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked toward the window, staring out into the dark. "When I was engaged," she said slowly, "I stayed because it was safe." She turned back to me. With you, I stay because I feel seen. That was different. That was dangerous and real. I stepped closer, close enough that I could see the tension in her shoulders. I don't want to be someone's lesson, I said quietly, or someone's experiment. You're not, she said firmly. You're the first choice I've made without fear deciding for me. Silence filled the room again, but this time it wasn't fragile. It was steady.